be pushed around. We must keep you from putting our kids in the ground, so we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground, so we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. Sorry to keep you waiting a little past 8 o'clock there. I was having technical difficulties, as usual. But at least I think you can hear me this time, right?
I'm sorry, what's that, Pat?
I was reading your
Everybody but Bruce. He refuses to get hearing aids.
What?
So, Philip, what are we going to cover tonight?
Well, we'll talk about the election. I think we dodged a huge bullet, but we need to talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about the legislative agenda. It's getting to be that time. It's already November. It's going to be January and lobby day. We blink our eyes. It's just right around the corner now. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I know you wanted to talk about buses and a little bit about Layla Myers, who's getting together a petition to give to the sheriff in Prince George County. And we can also field questions.
Yep. Okay. So, election. I guess that's the biggest news of the day, huh?
Yeah, that was huge. And we're still watching to see what's going to happen in the House, but it's hard to imagine the Republicans not having a trifecta. There's still, I forget how many House races that are still uncalled, but I think the Republicans need 5 of those 20 or 25 or whatever's left to get to the magic number. And the Democrats need almost 10 more just to catch up with the Republicans, much less past the magic 218 point. So that would be great if there's a trifecta. Trump has said, and we've got the recording, that this time around he's going to be getting advice from the gun owners of America. That's a big deal. It really is. If he's getting it from gun owners, they're not going to they're not going to let him. They would never say, "Oh, it's okay to take away somebody's guns and then let them get their due process later." No way, GOA would tell them that. No way, we would tell them that. And they would have also said, "Put the kibosh on a bump stock ban." That would never. None of that stuff would have happened if he'd been listening to GOA. And of course, hearing them or asking them and listening to them doesn't mean he'll do it, but getting solid advice and from an organization that should stand up. I mean, understand there'd be a lot of pressure there. There'd have been a big shooting, for example, in that real big one that nobody knows anything much about since it happened. Everything went dark, but the shooting in Las Vegas. And so I'm sure the NRA came under a lot of pressure with Trump saying, "I've got to do something or we're going to have all kinds of gun control being pushed in Congress." Of course, he is a veto pen. But anyhow, that's probably it. And maybe the NRA buckled under that kind of pressure. Said, "Yeah, we could live with a couple things, a couple bones to throw out there." But I don't think GOA would go for the bones. I think that pressure or no pressure, they're not. So that's certainly my belief in how that would go. So
we still need gun owners to stand up and give the Republicans spine, even
oh,
if they
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The problem is gun owners, when they get to what they think is an easy spot, instead of pushing their hardest where they can make the most progress, that's where they stop to take a breather, and we just get screwed every time.
Yeah, it's like,
And
oh, well,
so-
the problem's solved. No, it's not.
No, the problem is never solved. There will always be people that want to take our rights away from us. So it's up to us as part of the government, by the people, for the people, to keep the pressure on the people that we send to Washington or to our state house to do the right thing. And we've seen in the past where the Republicans have said, "Oh, if we just have control of the House, or if we just have control of the Senate, or if we just have the governor's house or the White House." And then when they have all three, they're like, "Oh, well, everything's good. And there's an election coming up, so we don't want to ruffle any feathers," or this, that, and the other. So we have to make sure that not correcting these bad things that have been done in the past is what is going to ruffle the feathers.
Exactly. We got to make sure that they're clear about our feathers. We don't want them
Right.
ruffled. We've had years of that stuff. We've had years of weak Republicans who've got a solid platform, but then get in there, as you say, and suddenly go soft. They just turn into butter. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, everybody's saying it's clear that Trump has a mandate. That's very different too. You know, he's got a mandate on a bunch of things, and I think guns is a key part as well. The economy, illegal immigration, but guns is right up there because there was an attack. There's a lot, of course, that Trump can do. He can undo any executive order that Biden did, so he can get rid of this, gun violence prevention branch of the White House. He can just knock this bunk gone. He can get the ATF to back off on their ridiculous attack on gun dealers. Tiny little mistake and you lose your license. That is such, well, it could be children watching. That is such baloney. But, we're all sick of this stuff. And it seems like so many of the Democrats just aren't getting the message that was sent by this. They're trying to blame all kinds of stuff. They're trying to blame misogyny on men, black, Latinos, and whites. We're all misogynists. That's funny. Most of us are married to women and love our wives, but it's the blame game. They will not accept that America doesn't want what they're selling, including gun control on top of it. That's the main thing from our point of view. We don't take a position on the other stuff, but the whole package. So we need to get a lot done. I put part of a list out on the last alert. I had several things on there, and I forgot one. One of our executive members reminded me we need to get rid of the federal gun-free school zone. That needs to go. It was unconstitutional originally. They made a minor tweak to it, put it back in place, and it was never challenged again. And it could be if it was challenged in the courts, it might go unconstitutional again. But at this point, now let me make an important point here. When I say trifecta, That of course means that they've got the presidency, we got the Senate, and we got the House. But the Senate works on a 60 vote majority
Mm-hmm.
for not everything, but for a lot of the stuff. So that's not going to be as easy as you might think, because now you've got to get 10 Democrats, or well, less than that, depending, anywhere from 7 to 6 Democrats to go along with whatever it is that the Republicans are trying to do. Now, there are some pro-gun Democrats in Congress, unlike here in Virginia in our General Assembly, where I don't think we got any left. But they do have some in Congress still. So it's still going to be a battle, and we need to be engaged. We need to push everybody to get our agenda through. We got 4 short years; it'll be over like that. So we
Yes.
need to work.
Yeah. So when you're winning a race, you don't take your foot off the gas.
Right.
The other thing that we have to watch out for, though, and this is uber important, this is how we got major gun control in Virginia. There will be a backlash. And next year, the 2025 elections in Virginia, we have the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, and the entire House of Representatives up for re-election or election. The governor can't do 2 consecutive terms. So if you guys recall, back in 2019, we had a very similar situation, and we ended up with
2016.
2019.
Okay, that
We
was
had,
when
well,
Biden won.
2019, we already had the Democrat governor and lieutenant governor and AG in there. 2016, we did have the backlash, sort of, but in 2019, we had the elections that in 2018, things swung kind of pro-rights, but 2019, there was the backlash, and we ended up with a totally Democrat or anti-rights controlled House of Delegates, Senate, governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. And then, of course, 2020, we ended up with a major gun control that looked like it was going to go through. Fortunately, everybody showing up at Lobby Day 2020 put the kibosh on most of it. But we did end up with bans on carry in state buildings, and in some local gun control allowed, and an expansion of gun-free zones in Virginia, and some things that we're working. Yeah, we're working to repeal that stuff now through the courts and trying to get it repealed through the General Assembly, but we don't have the votes in the General Assembly. The governor can't do anything about laws until it goes through the General Assembly. So we have a lot of work to do, and it's a long-term project here.
Absolutely, yeah. The Democrats knew that they were going to lose at some point, so they turned what would have been executive orders by the governor into law. If they hadn't done that, boy, we could have undone all kinds of stuff by now. But that move changed everything, and then they managed to hang on to some of the stuff in the General Assembly, and so we couldn't move forward with our agenda.
Yeah,
just a general note to the folks that are listening. Guys, please, please, please start now. Recruit friends. Remember, Lobby Day 2020 got 100% anti-gun government to not pass a whole lot of stuff. You need to show up. You need to be there. It's a very important every year to be there. If the Republicans are in, it gives them spine. If the Democrats are in, it basically takes it away. They don't have the willpower to stand up against that many people. Please show up. Your rights depend on it every year.
I wonder how.
Go
ahead.
A war is not won on a single battlefield. There are multiple skirmishes all over the place and some major battles, multiple battles. So the war for our rights, as I said earlier, is ongoing. Stan points out that we need to get gun owners registered to vote and out to the polls. Yes, but we also need to educate them. I know plenty of gun owners that say, well, I don't know why anybody needs anything other than a shotgun. And,
Mhm.
um, Kamala Harris is a gun owner, self professed gun owner. And yet she thinks it's okay to come into your home and check to make sure that you're being safe with your gun in your home. So, just because somebody has something doesn't mean that they think the same way that you do. And that's why it's very important to have conversations with people and educate them about why their rights are so important.
And
That's right.
one of the things you want to do is make sure you get folks to vote, because it's a hell of a lot easier and a hell of a lot cheaper to get good gun laws without going through the court to get the bad ones taken away. Lawsuits are very, very expensive, folks. If you want your dollar to go farther, get your friends to vote.
And
And we
lawsuits
have
are not
how many,
guaranteed.
right? And we
Lawsuits
have
aren't guaranteed.
how many lawsuits are we fighting right now, currently active?
I don't know, 4 or 5 at least.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been an amicus brief for others as well. So we got our foot in the water in a whole bunch of different places, and because that's where we can make some headway right now and have been. But it's an expensive, lengthy battle. I mean, the wheels of justice are like they're like rusted. They just barely turn sometimes. Years can go by. Years. Unbelievable.
Yes, that we're fighting suits that we filed in 2020 and they're still ongoing. So yeah,
and you can be halfway done with the lawsuit, and some locality or some place changes a little bit or backs down, then that lawsuit falls apart and they come at it a different way, and then you start all over. You can't pick up where you left off, and it's expensive every time, and sometimes you have to do it 3, 4, 5 times before you get the law repealed or found unconstitutional. So, like I said, guys, you gotta give us the tools to work with down there in the General Assembly. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we asking the General Assembly for this year?
Let me bring my list up here.
Winning lottery numbers.
Yes, that would be.
That would be permitless carry.
Well, we've got
that's my winning lottery number.
We've got a variety of things. Yeah, permitless carry is on the list, and we're a lot of these things. I'm lining up patrons. Some of them I've already got the patrons lined up. We've even drafted the bills. Others still looking for patrons, and some we are waiting to hear back if they're going to carry them. But permitless carry is on the list. We wanted to do some things that were like cleanups. It should be something that hopefully we can get done this year. Things like there are still some judges that are confused that if you're renewing your permit, they think you have to show that your original training way back when was in person and not online. That's not the law, but that's how some are reading it. So we want to get a clarification so it's absolutely clear that once you're renewing, you don't need to show any more what kind of what the training was, whether it was in person or not. Right now, when you move to Virginia, you can't use your Virginia driver's license for 30 days to buy a gun. I'd like to fix that. That was put in years and years ago. With modern technology and the driver's licenses and everything, there's no reason that they can't let you use it immediately once you get it, especially with the higher security that they're putting on these driver's licenses. We want to. We still want the boundaries. In fact, this is another issue I guess we should put on the agenda, and that's the Attorney General. But come to that later. We want the boundaries for daycare and preschool. This was another thing that came in 2020, where before it wasn't illegal to carry in a daycare or preschool area. They made that illegal. But they didn't really say where the boundaries are, because these things are integrated into churches, into businesses, and other places. So just because a church has a daycare, does the whole church a gun-free school zone now? or is it just the area that's exclusively used? Law doesn't say. Now that vagueness in the law plays better for the citizens, because in theory, if the law is unclear, then the judge would have to say, "Well, I can't, we're going to toss this case out because it's not clear you were in a gun-free part of the church." But the fact that it's not clear means that you could still go through the system. You could be arrested. You could be charged with a felony. You'd have to lawyer up. Your life would be turned upside down. If you got a security clearance, well, you might have to kiss that goodbye. And even though in the end they might throw the case out, and there's a good chance they would because it's vague. We want that cleared up. And you would think that everybody would want the boundaries there, so it's clear, clean, and so forth. So that's on the list. We're also looking at what some other states have done. I think Pennsylvania is one, where if you're carrying without a permit, concealed, and you get caught, but you qualify for a permit. In other words, you're a good guy. You got a clean background. You haven't had the training yet, or maybe you have had training, but it doesn't matter. But you would qualify. You're not a felon. You're not any of the things that would keep you from getting a Virginia concealed carry permit. In that case, rather than charging you with a class 1 misdemeanor that would be a crime, and again, a crime will change your life, even if it's a minor one, instead it would be a $500 fine. So yeah, you're going to feel a little sting in the wallet, but you won't be considered a criminal. But the judge could put a stipulation: apply for your permit and get it, and we'll waive the $500. I mean, that's up to the judge. Who knows what they'll do? But they could certainly do that. Put a stipulation in there. So because it could just be a very simple, innocent case. Somebody that's absolutely an honest person that didn't realize that because they had the gun in the car but under the floor mat instead of in a glove box, that was illegal because they didn't have a permit. So we'd like to clear that up. We just don't want people getting arrested and charged with a crime when they're really not a bad guy. That's not what the system should be about. Let's see here.
So we got a question, Philip, about what is the difference between constitutional carry and unrestricted carry, permitless carry?
All right. Constitutional carry, actually, we've used that term in the past, but within the gun rights community, there's been some discussion about that. Constitutional carry would really be you don't need a permit to carry openly or concealed, and you can pretty much carry everywhere. The Constitution doesn't say you have the right to keep and bear arms, but not in a school or not in a park or you name it, not in a government building. It doesn't say that. It says shall not be infringed. Now, the Supreme Court has sort of said, well, okay, but we'll kind of go with what the infringements were that were acceptable when they put in the Bill of Rights in 1791. So, and then unfortunately, the Rahimi case has weakened the Bruin decision. So we're starting to get some screwy stuff again. These courts just won't let up. They're determined to make it so they can just let the government have whatever gun control it wants. So that's again why you hate going to the courts if you don't have to, because things are kind of weird there. Now, that's constitutional carry. What we're looking for at this point is to be practical permitless carry. So you still have some restrictions like schools and government buildings or whatever, but you don't need a permit to do it. So,
well, to be clear, that's not what we want. But
no, that's not. But that's what we're going for right now.
Right. We lost our rights in steps, and we're not going to get them back in one big lump. We have a much better chance of winning incrementally. So we're picking battles here and picking battles there. So we do have bills in to allow carry in schools and allow carry in parks and allow carry in government buildings, but it's not the same as the permitless carry bill, because when you lump everything into one bill, you have a much greater chance of it not passing. if you have separate bills for each of these different things, then you have a better chance of getting some or more of them through.
Yeah, that's called those
Omnibus.
the omnibus, and the Democrats have done that quite a bit, where they've got every gun control scheme into one bill, and of course it just doesn't stand a chance, because somebody even on their side at some point may say it's a bridge too far. So yeah, it's just not the way to do it. So this takes time. You can't put in a million bills. You kind of have to kind of pick your fights. Another one we're looking at right now, if you buy a safe from an FFL, you could write off. You have a tax write-off on that. We got a bill that would say that as long as you're buying from a gun store, or it's a commercial establishment, that would count as well. So you could buy from Cabela's, although they have an FFL, I guess. But
How
then you
about
get
how about BJ's? BJ's sells 18, 28, and 40 gun safes depending on the time of year.
exactly. Yeah,
Right.
there's a good
Sam's
example.
Club, Costco.
Which is anti-gun.
Right. They are, but they are places that sell safes. Yeah. Dick's, who stopped selling guns, but I think they still sell some safes. It's a safe retailer. You can buy straight from Liberty Safes, but you don't get the tax credit because they're not an FFL.
Yeah, and so the initially the concern was, well, we don't want people buying a safe, getting a tax credit, and selling it to their friend, and then they get a tax credit. So I said the simple solution is they've got to buy from a commercial retail establishment.
So Cody is saying that we need to focus on getting back state preemption.
Well, we've got part of that in our agenda. I hadn't got to it yet, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's in our agenda. Another thing that's in there is, I don't know how many of you have recently moved to Virginia and just gotten a new Virginia driver's license, or maybe you didn't get your driver's license until you turned 18, or maybe your license was revoked for some reason and then reinstated, and you go to an FFL to buy a gun and your license is less than 30 days old, and you can't buy the gun, any gun at all, until your license is 30 days past the issue date or reissue date. If it's a renewal, that doesn't count. But I had, for instance, a guy that moved from Alaska, and he shipped his guns to me, and he was not a dual resident, so he didn't still have a home in Alaska, and he came to Virginia. He changed his driver's license and came down to pick up his guns, and I said, sorry, you got to wait till your license is 30 days old. And he couldn't believe it. And it's a stupid law. With technology these days, there's absolutely no reason for it. And we almost had it through last year, and then at the last minute they changed their mind, and it never made it out of committee.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we got a bunch of repeals we're looking at. Also, we're looking at moving the concealed handgun permit age down to 18. Somebody at 18 can legally open carry a gun. And it's going to be fascinating to watch the gun control crowd on this, because part of them are going, well, we want to lower the voting age down to like 16 or 17 because kids are actually fairly mature. But then we're going to say, well, all right, let's move the permit down to 18. Oh, no, they're not kids. They're kids. They're not mature enough to have a permit at that age. It's going to be hilarious just watching them dance to that tightrope. But that's one of the things that's on our agenda. We've got quite a list. As we continue to work through. Here comes the train, Pat.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll mute for you.
That's okay.
I was trying to see if I had a red robe in here or something like that. Like, no, not 16. No, don't lower the age limit.
Slightly off topic, but before I lose the comment, Cody is asking whatever happened to the lawsuit in Fairfax challenging the ban in parks and rec centers.
Yeah, so they went to the federal route, which we went the state route, and the federal judge didn't give them an injunction and ruled against them. So then they've appealed it. So now it's, I think it's in the Fourth Circuit, which is not really a good friend of gun owners. Now, that may be something that Trump can fix too. You can start
Right.
loading the Fourth Circuit up, make it a decent set of judges in there that can read the law. Right now, a lot of them just, I don't know what they're doing in there. I could read the law way better than them, and I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, so Tom Grieve had an excellent video out on that a couple of days ago talking about the powers that a president has. They can't make laws. They can veto them or they can sign them, but they can't pass them. Congress has to do that. But the president appoints federal judges and Supreme Court justices. So they have a huge impact on the interpretation of the laws once they are challenged and reach the court. So that was one of the major things that Trump did in his last term as president was he appointed several both federal judges and 2 Supreme Court justices. So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And the fact that Trump definitely has the Senate. Now, what I don't know off the top of my head is if appointments like that can actually be a 51% as opposed to the 60 margin. I don't know if they do a filibuster on a judge. So it could, huh?
Until Trump gets in, he has asked them to not hold any hearings on judges. So there's no way for them to ram a bunch of them in there before they exit out of the system. So the White House can't get their way, or the current administration can't get their way if the Senate doesn't bring them up to a vote. So as long as McConnell keeps them off the floor, we're okay for right now.
Yeah, the Democrats are pushing on Sotomayor to step down, to resign, so that they can get another younger, far left judge in there, while they still have a Democratic president. So the games are ongoing. It's interesting to note, however, that it's been fairly quiet out there. We haven't seen those mostly peaceful protests where cities are going up in flames and stuff, and police stations are being taken over. Haven't seen that. They haven't been yanking down any more statues. But Inauguration Day could end up being a problem, and there could be some stuff coming. I predict that suddenly Antifa will raise its head again. Well, all of a sudden they'll be back. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. But it's a good time to be a gun owner and be able to protect yourself. You could turn crazy out there.
I keep telling you. Well, I won't say it here, but wow, that just popped up. We've got all the gun owners out there, and the people that are against don't have the guns, don't have the ability to, even if they have them, they don't know how to use them. So I don't think there's going to be an issue. And I think with Trump coming in, I think that will bolster the police. So I don't think you're going to see the same kind of ignoring the law breaking that you were before.
I hope not. Yeah, that's true.
Because the way the Democrats have been pointing fingers at each other about your fault, no, your fault, they don't want to get caught in that trap again. So they're going to have to tighten up if they want to weather this storm that's coming.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, too, as to how much there'll be a backlash in 2025 in the elections for the state House and everything. It's hard to say. I can't. To some degree, there certainly was a mandate across the country for some of this stuff. Now, Virginia this time got 5% more votes for Trump than they did in 2016. Mm-hmm. Back then, there was a 10-point spread, and there was only 5 points with Kamala. And now, what was it? The Senate race.
Kane?
And Kane. However, that race, That one was 9-point spread there, which tells me that some Democrats and maybe some Republicans, I think mostly a lot of Democrats, went to the polls, said, I'm not going to tell my friends, but I'm going to punch for Trump because I'm worried about the economy, but I'm going to go ahead and vote for Kane because he's not done the harm to the economy and everything else that Biden had done. I mean, there's clearly that really gets your attention when one spread is 5 for a Democrat and the other one is 10. Or 9 actually. So that certainly that just tells me some people crossed over, at least for the presidency.
Well, I kind of, I saw that, Philip. I didn't notice the numbers, but I gotta say, I was really hoping that Virginia could once again walk without a cane.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we've been limping along now. We got 2 senators that are dragging us down. But the good news is we didn't foist Kane on the whole nation back in 2016 when he was running with Hillary. So the nation owes us a debt. We didn't put him up there. Oh my God, good Lord. But anyhow, so we'll see. Again, the world right now is so unpredictable. Up is down and down is up. So we're just going to keep playing it by ear. Next year, though, that'll help. If we can get the House, we'll have a firewall against the Senate. So the Democrats will control the Senate. They can create gun control. The House can just throw it away, and it never gets to the governor's desk. And the governor will be a different governor. So if people put in a Democrat again, then we're really going to need the House to make sure no bad bills get to the governor's desk. We've got a good governor, then we have 2 firewalls, and that's excellent.
And in 2027, both the House and the Senate, all of them are up for re-election. And so who gets in the government office, who's elected to the governor and lieutenant governor in 2025 makes a huge difference when it comes to 2027. So, and remember that lieutenant governor has the tie-breaking vote in the Senate if there is a tie. So very important to show up for every election, including the primaries. How many of you, raise your hands, have said there's nobody worth voting for?
Yeah,
the primaries are where we pick the ones worth voting for.
Now we'll switch over a little bit to talk about the Attorney General Miis. I put an alert that Miis is he's not anti-gun, he's not a bad guy, but he's not done a whole lot for gun owners. And he had a chance last week or so to clarify what I talked about earlier. You got a daycare or preschool. Where is the boundary? There was a simple bill, not a bill, but a simple Attorney General request that said, where is the boundary? And he had a chance to rule on that, to give his opinion on it. And he dodged the question. He dodged it completely. We waited a year for him to answer this. And after a year, he dodges. He basically said, I know you're asking about this, but we did some research and we don't think that's the question you really want. You want this question, which is, can people carry in a church? And then he quotes, well, yeah, it's in 2011, Attorney General Cuccinelli said, if you're carrying for self-defense, yes, good and sufficient reason, you can carry in a church. Well, we knew that. We're the ones that got a delegate to ask Cuccinelli that question. So this was a dodge. This is something you're used to just plain politicians doing, that are in there. And I guess to some degree, he is a politician. But I was so disappointed in that dodge. And then there's other things he could be doing. We've had the Bruin decision. He could sit there and say, I'm not defending one handgun a month because it's clearly unconstitutional. I'm not defending universal background checks because that's clearly unconstitutional. He's not doing anything. He's been in there 3.5 years and hasn't done much. He did one thing. He did do what we're trying to get codified, which is to say, if you're renewing, you don't have to show that you originally got your training in person. We want to get that put in the law. He did do that, but 3.5 years. How long did it take to build the pyramids? I don't know, but it just seems like he could have gotten a lot more. I know there's other things going on. I know it's not just about guns in Virginia, but 3.5 years, really? So that's a big disappointment. And, if he ends up deciding he wants to run for governor against Winsome Sears in a primary, well, that's going to be an interesting primary because I'm just not seeing anything there that certainly excites me coming from his office. Meanwhile, Winsome, they had a shooting in Richmond here at a school graduation thing where it was like a party thing or whatever in downtown Richmond. There was a shooting, and she came out that same afternoon, and the first thing she told the press with them gaggling around her was, "Don't blame guns. This is about gangs, and Richmond's not controlling gangs. Who is in charge of Richmond?" she said. That's a pretty powerful statement. I didn't see the Attorney General stepping forward and doing anything like that either. So I just think we're not a priority to him is what it is. But
and as Dennis points out, he's allowed all the unconstitutional laws to remain unchallenged because he has political aspirations. It's worse than that because he is actively defending some of those laws. We have, like I said, 5 lawsuits going on that his office is defending. He could have said, nope, guns in parks, that is not a sensitive place, clearly unconstitutional. We will not defend this law, and the law would have been struck down.
Yeah. 1
handgun a month, private sale background checks, all of that, his office is actively defending. So, yeah.
But look, we're a gun organization. We truly believe that is it's the right that protects all the other rights. In our view, it's way up there. In fact, I put it above the First Amendment, but some people will put the first there and us the second, but whatever, it's right there. And I want somebody in these offices that thinks that way as well and says we cannot and will not tolerate an attack on our gun rights because we know where that will lead. We know why they're attacking those rights, and we will not let it happen. And we're not seeing that leadership out of the Attorney General's office. I think we're seeing it out of the Lieutenant Governor, and the governor did a great job this year. And I told him to keep his veto pen inked up for this next year coming up. So
I want to see backbone. I don't want to see tiptoeing. I want to see backbone.
Yeah, you're looking for leaders, not somebody that's. I want somebody in there fighting for my rights, not fighting for them to be reelected. That shouldn't be their focus. Their focus should be, I've got a job to do. Not many people are allowed to do this job. We don't have 20 attorney generals out there. We got one. We're dependent upon him to do that job. And if he does it right, I think he'll get reelected. You just got to do the job right. But boy, getting a backbone in some of these people is tough. It really is. It's all about being elected once you get in.
Well, you can't push on a rope.
No.
So just backing up a little bit, I've seen some things in chat. I want to let the folks know that with some of the things that we'd really like to get back, like preemption and stuff like that, the problem is that's almost like one of the omnibus bills where they put all the things together. In that if you have 10 people and you put 10 things together, there's a good chance each one of them will find something else to hate in that bill, and it will go down in flames. When you put it together, it dies. Well, the problem is preemption allows disallows localities from making their own gun control, so that's why they want to get rid of it. So if you try to reestablish that, that's a lot of political capital. And when the board sits down, we sit down with Philip, we discuss it. And what we do is we determine where best to get the most yardage, the biggest gains for the gun owners based on how much political capital these things cost. And if the things, sometimes it's better to get 5 or 10 smaller things than just one big thing. And I think you're going to find that for the Democrats, preemption is a very big thing. They did not like losing control. All the little fiefdoms out there absolutely hated it. So that will be a tough sell.
Especially Fairfax. Oh my God, those tyrants in Fairfax. Oh man. So yeah, and so we getting it back again. You also have to weigh in the environment that we're in. We're a little bit more restricted as to what we can push. So you try to get things that you think you can get through. So on preemption, parks and permitted events is a good place to start, because it's hard to defend those with a straight face and say those are sensitive areas. Yeah, what is Bambi walking around with a badge and a gun to protect the parks? No, those parks are, there's nobody there. As many a raped female has found out, there's nobody there to come save you. If they are, you really won the lottery. So that's not sensitive. It's open to the public. People can wander into a park at any time, day or night. There's no background checks. There's no metal detectors, nothing. And anything that the government should consider sensitive, they should be protecting the heck out of it. Again, my definition of sensitive would be like the CIA. You don't just walk into the CIA. You've got to be invited in. They're going to know who you are. You may require a background check, all kinds of stuff. You could be searched. Your car could be searched at any time. That's a sensitive government area. It's got a fence around it, totally protecting it. It's got 24-hour armed security there, inside and out. That's a sensitive government building. A park, a parking garage, a library, all these government buildings. They're not sensitive. None of those are sensitive at all. But we plan to whittle on it. Ultimately, once we get a chance, we're just going to put preemption back where it was prior to 2020 and get rid of all this local gun control again.
I find your example there a little bit humorous, Philip, when you say the CIA, because they won't take just anybody. And I think, well, they also say jails are sensitive, and they'll take just about anybody.
True, yeah, and the jail's a good example how people get murdered there, right? You've got free food, you've got you got armed security. It's a no guns policy, no weapons policy. Everything that people would consider nirvana. Well, that's a jail. Government's taking care of you. It's an ultimate nanny state, and you can be murdered quite effectively in that nanny state. So, including being shot. So. Anyhow, that battle will go on. Believe me, Cody, we're on board with preemption. That has made me so frustrated since 2020, the loss of that. Thank God, only 18 localities out of 200 have actually taken advantage of it to varying degrees. Newport News, they totally exempt permit holders. So if you got a permit, preemption didn't change for you. It changed for people that open carry. Although somebody was charged for open carry, and he was doing it intentionally, he got charged and the case got thrown out. Now, that was probably on a case where they call, what do they call it? When it's basically aimed at you. It's not aimed at reversing a law for everybody. Oh, it's an as applied is what they call it. So the person was found to not be charged for this because as applied to them, they felt like, he was covered by the state laws. So it's or they really didn't want to push it. They just wanted it on the books to discourage people. But some localities don't ban guns in parks. Some only ban guns in parks. I think that's, well, no, I take that back. There's some that do it in parks, some don't. It's just a whole hodgepodge out there. But we need to undo all of that.
Which was the whole purpose of preemption coming in, so you wouldn't have the patchwork kind of quilt thing going across the state.
Yeah, I've said this many times. What other civil right do we patchwork? So if you drive into Caroline County, are they going to go, well, here we don't really have the Fourth Amendment unless it's, or no, we don't do free speech in Fairfax. Oh no, we don't do that here. We passed an ordinance that got rid of free speech. No, we don't
Hold on.
hear that.
Hold on, Philip. That's pretty close to the truth.
Well, that won't stand up in court. But I mean, but the point is we don't do that. There's nothing in the law that says localities can go, but just guns. That's the only thing that they go against the Constitution on. So it's really important to us. So we'll definitely be doing whatever we can. We just have to wait till, to get the whole thing till we're probably going to need a trifecta. Or we need some Democrats to rethink what they've been doing to the Constitution. And
maybe we need to start pushing on the Democrats now to say, hey, this, there was a red wave, and if you don't want to get caught up on it, consider voting this way on these items.
And and remind them that again, Trump got 5% more votes than Hun Cao did. There's a want for this kind of stuff out there. So, all right. And by the way, there was before I forgot, something I didn't mention. I was put on the agenda was a shooting here in Virginia. And this just shows you how frustrating the legal system can be. In the shooting, a husband had been threatening the wife that he was going to, kill her and the kids, and so she ended up shooting him 4 times, and they charged her because they said not only did she shoot him and kill him, she reloaded. But this is a major example of how little people in the courts and the prosecutors understand guns. What happened was she had a gun that had a 7-round magazine. So the prosecution was saying, yeah, it holds 7 rounds. She shot him 4 times, and she still had 4 rounds in the magazine. Nobody is thinking about the 7 plus 1. That gun holds 8 rounds. And so if you shoot 4, you're going to have 4 left in the magazine. But I kid you not, she is in serious trouble over that. Now, that's like Guns 101, right? How do you not know that? How do you say, well, you must have reloaded because you're going to reload 1 round in a magazine that's already got 3 rounds. Why would you do that? But, we laugh, but it's, for her, this is very serious. And I certainly hope they get this straightened out. But that just shows you why you don't want to get involved in the legal system, especially when it comes to guns, because you just don't know what kind of bizarre things are going to come out of there.
Yep. And so somebody commented earlier that, Michael Dalton said, smile, Jill, that was a good, faster video. And it was. And there'll be more coming out. We really need to get the Faster Saves Lives program in all Virginia schools. So public schools, private schools, all of them. The only way to prevent crime is to be able to stop crime. And when you have defense-free zones, it is like a magnet for deranged killers. So that's one of my personal missions, is to get the Faster Saves Lives program into schools in Virginia. And Philip and I are going out to actually take the training very soon so that we can be more effective at lobbying to get this into the school systems.
Yeah, and it's there's different components to it. So we'll probably start with a few of the components, and over time we could add more components, because there's a lot to security of a school. There's advanced first aid for stopping the bleed, especially. That's a real problem, because in a school situation where a murderer has attacked kids and adults in the school, the police show up. Well, their job then, I'm not sure what all the fireworks is back there. Their job is to secure the school. The ambulances show up and they're going, the EMTs, and they're going, well, we can't go in till the police have secured the school. Meanwhile, the shooter may have already, or the murderer may have already killed himself, but they don't know that. The police don't know that yet. Or maybe he's holed up in a different part of the school, and the other part, he's not there. So people with the right training could immediately begin trying to save lives of people that had been either shot or stabbed or whatever the murderer was using as his tool, and before the police even get there. And they could. I mean, how long did those kids wait in Uvalde? What was that? An hour and a half or whatever. How many of them bled out during that time that could have been saved if there had been people there with the proper equipment and the proper training to take care of them while they're waiting for the police to get their act together? So that's one component. I think that's a really important component, because no matter what it is, even if it's just some other tragic accident that happens, having somebody on staff that's got some training and having emergency kits throughout the school. The idea would be to put one with every fire extinguisher. So if you see a fire extinguisher, you run over there. There's an emergency kit. That's the best way to do it. Because at the end of the day, what most people are calling a first responder, those of us that have been in the gun rights community for a while really think of them as a second responder. You are the one that's going to be Johnny on the spot when something goes wrong. The police probably aren't. So you're going to need to respond while you're waiting for them to respond.
Absolutely.
So, and that's true with EMT stuff as well. You need to stop the bleed if you can before they get there.
Right.
So Philip, with what you just said, I can see the antis passing a law that says if you're a school shooter, you must call the police and tell them just before you off yourself.
That would be good. Yeah. Bye, police. Boom. Okay, now we can just go in, save lives. And they'll throw his dead body in jail if he didn't call them.
It's you got to wonder what they're thinking when they do some of this stuff.
I don't know. Government can be fascinating sometimes. You have to have a sense of humor to some degree.
That is one word for it. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, well, after sitting in committee and hearing the attorney that they pay to sit there and advise them on the laws that they're considering in the committee, tell them that the bill they were considering was unconstitutional and had been declared unconstitutional by a court, and they still passed the bill out of committee. I don't wonder anymore. It has to be deliberate. So
yeah. Well, another subject too, before this time is ticking along here. In Fauquier County, we're still waiting to see what they're going to do with their new noise ordinance that they're proposing that would affect hunting and shooting. It may be, we haven't seen it. It may be that it's no big deal, that what they're doing is not a problem. I've kind of heard that it might just be that you can't shoot after 10 o'clock at night and not before 7 in the morning or something, as opposed to maybe having some weird decibel reading even in the middle of the day, and not you need to know, in that case, you need to know how far away they're going to measure the sound, because that changes dramatically with distance and so forth. So we're at that mode where we're on the lookout, we're watching, and hopefully any time, because Thursday's their meeting, hopefully sometime before Thursday, they will post the proposed ordinance, and we can tear it apart and say, nothing to it, or yeah, this is a real problem. We need to turn out in Fauquier County to fix it. So we'll know more. That's one of the things now. Layla Myers has been collecting signatures down in Prince George County to lower the CHP fee. The sheriff is charging more than we feel he needs to, so we have a petition that's got, I think it's approaching 500 signatures of Prince George County people, residents, not people outside, just inside. So that's a significant number. And that petition will be presented by Layla and myself to the sheriff soon. And hopefully we'll get some traction with that.
Hey, Philip, there's a comment from Cheryl that's on the bottom of the screen. It says, just curious, what is your take on teachers being allowed to carry in the classroom with permits and training?
Yeah, well, I think, look, Utah has been doing this for years. I keep saying this. They say anybody with a permit can carry in their schools. And because of that, because it could be anybody in the school that's armed, it could be the air conditioner repairman, it could be the football coach, it could be a teacher visiting, it could be another teacher visiting the school for some reason. It could be anybody that's got a permit. They haven't had any school shootings. Nobody. In other words, it's between nations they would call it mutual assured destruction. You attack me, and I guarantee we're going to wipe each other out. It's something similar to that. You attack the school, and you're going to be shot before you even know where the shot came from. And it works. They never had to use it. It's a system like MAD, mutual assured destruction, where it's significant enough where it just deters everybody from doing anything. So I think Utah has proven that you don't need all kinds of fancy training. But the one thing I've seen so far from the FASTER program, it branches off from my thinking on that. My thinking, especially for Utah, is a teacher with a permit can lock down her room, get her students away from the door, and she can focus on the door. The bad guy has one way in, and that's the kill zone through that door. As he's stepping through it, all she has to do is squeeze the trigger, and he won't even know where the shot came from. He won't have a chance to figure out who's in the room and where they are. But FASTER can go beyond that in some of their more advanced training, where like somebody like an administrator who's not in a classroom could go down the building seeking out the bad guy. Before, the other way, I'm talking about just defending a classroom from somebody and just staying in the classroom. This would be a more advanced step where you're actually going out and you're trying to find that bad guy down a hall, wherever he is, and stop him. That is a very different proposition. Police go through a lot of training, and that's what this covers, incredible training on how you would go about doing that as safely as possible, because it is dangerous. That's why we say even if you're at home and somebody breaks in, you're better to lock the door in your bedroom, take your gun, point it at that door, and if somebody comes in that's not supposed to be there, then you do what you got to do. But to go clearing your house, even though you know where everything is very dangerous. But with the right training and multiple people, it becomes much safer, especially if you got 2-3 people doing it.
Yep. So there's a number of things about the FASTER program. They teach situational awareness. They teach conflict de-escalation. They teach how to spot a pending threat. Like Philip said, they teach people that are capable and able how to go and find the threat and neutralize it. How do you determine who's the person that maybe just stopped an attack versus the person that is attacking people? How do you take control of the situation after the threat is neutralized? What to do when the police get there? How to stop the bleeding and the dying while the police are assessing the scene before they enter, and then clearing the scene once they enter before EMS is allowed on the scene. So there's so many aspects that the FASTER program takes into account, aside from just letting a concealed handgun permit or a concealed carry permit person carry on the premises. It's a multifaceted program. And one of the comments that they get quite frequently is from law enforcement, who is glad, especially school resource officers. One school resource officer told their school administration that they wouldn't do the job anymore if that program wasn't in place, because they have like a bullseye on them to a mass murderer. And if you have one armed resource officer on the campus, they are the only, that's neutralize that, and you have free reign to do what you want to do.
Yeah, and the teachers would give them backup. They'd have somebody else to go with them to help.
Right.
So, in essence, no pun intended, but the FASTER program is a cradle to grave course on school defense.
It is. Jill, you started to say something?
I was about to just agree with you as far as multifaceted. The span of things that they teach is just amazing. And as a mom, I'm all for it. I praise it. I think that it's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. It's well thought out, and it's the things a lot of people don't understand, especially when you come into the gun rights arena, that we get this stigma put on us that we don't care about the children, and that is further from the truth. As a mother that loves guns, that's very staunch on my 2A rights, but at the same time, I can empathize with those in the anti-crowd as far as their concerns for kids. And this program, FASTER, is, in my belief, that bridge, because you don't have to go in as a newbie, so to speak, and just go for the guns. You can go and learn about the emergency training, the situational awareness, how to spot the danger. It's an amazing program.
All right. We have a question. Cody's asking about the 21st member meeting in Ashburn. We may end up, that's something Pat and I haven't talked about. We haven't booked anywhere else this month, so we probably end up doing Ashburn. I'll put something in an alert. Because that one's set up.
I haven't talked to you about it, but my understanding was that we were going to be in Ashburn this month.
But make sure make sure we don't get our wires crossed. Thanks. Let's see what else.
I put the link to the PG County petition in the chat. So whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, it's in the chat there.
VCDL is donating hundreds of watch caps to the people that were affected by the hurricane that hit part of Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, in that area. The states, Virginia, and the states touching us, we're donating hundreds of watch caps to keep people warm as the weather continues to get cold, because that people are going to be still in a bad shape down there for a long time. So we're trying to do something to help out down there.
Right. So those are the knit stocking caps to keep people warm and
knit beanies.
Yep. Help keep them warm in this cold weather. A lot of people don't have power back yet. So devastation.
Wow.
That was
no insane. Refrigeration.
Right.
Wow.
Well, refrigeration won't be a problem in a little while, but keeping warm might.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. Lobby day buses. That was the only thing I think we didn't cover on the agenda there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be updating the website soon. The 2024 Lobby Day page will become the 2025 Lobby Day page, and we'll have information about buses and teams and things like that. If you have been a team lead before or have attended Lobby Day before and would like to lead a team, hit there's a volunteer contact form on our website, and it should be up on the Lobby Day page where you can volunteer to be a Lobby Day team lead. Team leads are crucially important, because the way that it works is each team is assigned specific offices, so that we make sure that we visit every single senator and every single delegate. And each team will leave a packet with our legislative agenda at that office, and hopefully talk to either the senator or delegate or one of their aides. And so some of the questions we get are, can I bring my kids? Absolutely. It's a great educational experience. Yes, it's a holiday. Yes, it's going to be cold. No, we can't have it in the summer because they're not in session. They are in session, even though it's a holiday. It's a work day for the General Assembly. And we picked that day specifically because of that, because a lot of people are off of work. So you don't have to feed the meter if you park on the street. But it is vitally important that we have a good showing.
It's January 20th this year.
20th or 19th?
No, it's the
20th.
20th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20th.
Just like
yeah.
it was in 2020. It was the big
Yeah.
rally we had was January 20th, 2020.
Martin Luther King Day, third Monday in January every year.
Every year.
Mm-hmm. Every year. So, Cody, as soon as I can get the website updated, which I will hopefully get done tomorrow or Tuesday, then the 2025 information will be on our website.
I just texted John to get the 2025 legislative tracker system.
Right.
Try to get that up and running.
Right. So there's information there on how to follow bills, how to attend committee meetings. You can virtually attend committee meetings now. So when Philip puts out an alert, an action item that there's a committee meeting on such and such a day, you can log in from any computer and testify for or against a bill. So do that if at all possible. Because the more people that we have showing up in favor of good bills and opposing bad bills, the easier it's going to be for us to get our agenda through. It's going to take a lot of pressure from the public to get anything done this year. We have pretty much the exact same legislature as last year, with the exception that John McGuire, since he was elected to Congress, there will be a special election held to fill that 5th district seat there.
I believe Amanda Chase may be running for that. Or no.
She will.
Yeah.
There will be
That's right.
4 Republicans that are running for that seat. So, but Amanda Chase is one of them, and she is a proven commodity. So,
yeah. Well, the point is that will be a primary, and those of you that are able to vote in that, be sure to vote in the primary. Again, if you want a good candidate, you got to pick them while you have the chance, and then you have somebody you can get behind when election day. Well, when the actual election.
That's
Right.
my
around.
district. That's my district, and if anybody from my district is watching, y'all better vote. I'm going to annoy the snot out of all of you.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
let's do it.
So buses, we are looking at buses. We're exploring routes and costs and things like that. So stay tuned. There will be future alerts, and we'll update you more probably before our December live stream. So maybe we will have some information on that at the membership meeting on the 21st of this month in Ashburn, or wherever that may be. So I think that's all I have on my agenda. Do you guys have anything else?
No, I don't think so. Nothing I can think of right now.
Bruce?
Yeah. So,
No, I think I'm good.
no, I wouldn't go that far.
Those of you that want to give away,
No.
those that you want to give some VCDL stuff for Christmas, get your orders in now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was behind a truck today, a pickup truck with 2 big VCDL, the logo that's on the left side of the screen, 2 big ones on the back of their truck. I was trying to get the guy's attention. He's going out to Hopewell. He was on Route 10 headed to Hopewell, and I was right there next to him.
How many people do we have online right now, Pat? Can you tell?
36 it's saying.
Okay, well, let me throw this out to the crowd. We got for when we did the Trump train caravan thing, we got a bunch of 12-inch stickers of the Minuteman logo and the other one with the Black Ring Gun Save Live logo. Unfortunately, the shipper dropped the pallet, and it took it an extra 3 days to get to us, so we didn't get to use them at that lobby day. So I've got tons of them, just not a good way to mail them out to folks because they're big. But what I would like to do is I'd like to get something similar, but in the perforated material that they do car windows with, so you can still see out through them, so people can see the logo from outside, but it doesn't block your vision from inside. I do not have a source for that material or getting those done. If you have any ideas, I would be glad to listen to them. Bruce at vcdl.org. If anybody can help, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I hope you do find them, because I need new stickers on the sides of my windows, and I would put them on the back where they're more visible if I could see through them. But I need to be able to see through my window.
Yeah, that's important.
Just cut little strips out of it all the way down.
Yeah.
Could do that.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so folks, plan on attending Lobby Day on MLK Day, third Monday in January. If you're in the Northern Virginia area, plan on attending the VCDL meeting on the third Thursday of this month. And thanks everybody for watching and commenting. Please share this with your friends. They can listen to it on their way to work tomorrow. And we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next month, same time, same place.
Thanks, guys.
So,
Yeah.
have a good night.
Bye.